On Unplugged at Stanford today, we are with the Navy and their NUPOC program. That's the Nuclear Propulsion Officer Candidacy Program. And we're spending some time with Alex Lubkin, who is a current student at Stanford. Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the NUPOC program with the Navy?
Hi, Jeff. So I am a rising senior. I am studying material science and engineering, as well as doing honors in international security studies with the Center for International Security and Cooperation. And as you mentioned, I'm also an officer candidate in the NUPOC program. And so we can just talk a little bit about that if you want.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about, I guess, what you do at Stanford and kind of how NUPOC came about for you. And, you know, the audience really is going to be students that are considering the Navy, so everything they should know about it.
Definitely. So I'll kind of start with my background in engineering and my interest in energy technologies and defense technologies. And so I've always been interested in nuclear and renewable energy technologies. And in addition to the engineering and management and technology development aspect of that, I've been very interested in international security, policy, and technology. And so the NUPOC program, and specifically the path that I'll be taking, and I'll get more to that in a bit, really presented an excellent opportunity to merge both of those interests. And so I'll kind of walk through each of the different paths of the NUPOC program, and then kind of finish off why that met my path interests. So there's three main areas for the NUPOC program, and think of NUPOC as an ascension program for the Navy, kind of a parallel to ROTC. So instead of doing ROTC, you do NUPOC, and with NUPOC, you don't have the commitment during school, although you are committed for your 5-year term after graduation. You don't have any classes or drilling or uniforms or grooming requirements during school. So it's a very different ascension program. And now the three main tracks are fleet, instructor, and NRE, or Naval Reactor Engineer. And so I'll start with fleet because that's the largest path. And there's two options within fleet. So there's surface, nuclear, and then there's submarine. So for surface nuclear, the basic track is you graduate, you go to officer candidacy school, then nuke power school, and then subsequently to prototype. And now nuke power school is more of a classroom setting for learning about nuclear engineering, and prototype is hands-on real reactor that's either docked or on land versus a submarine or aircraft carrier at sea. And there you really learn how to operate a nuclear reactor. And then after that, for surface, you're assigned to an aircraft carrier where you're working with the reactor team. And sorry, I missed one step. For surface, you actually have a tour aboard a conventional ship before your nuclear tour. With submarines, you're doing all the nuke power school, and then you're doing submarine school, which is an entirely separate process, and then you're stationed aboard submarine. So those are the fleet paths, and for that, it's more traditional Navy. You'll be serving aboard a ship. It's kind of the gist of it. And then the next is instructor. And so instructor, there's two types. One is where you're working at nuke power school in a teaching setting. Like think about teaching courses to both enlisted sailors and officers. So you'll first go through nuke power school to learn all the concepts, and then you'll start teaching them. So that's great for people that are interested in engineering and science education, as well as the Navy. And then for prototype, it's a different form of instruction. Rather than classroom education, it's more hands-on teaching. So you'll be working at these prototype reactors that I mentioned, teaching the fleet officers how to operate them. And so that's for people that are, again, interested in teaching, but more of the hands-on teaching than the classroom setting.
And how Just curious,
And
which one of those will you be aligning to, and then how might students kind of
yeah,
make
so
sense of that?
getting to the last one, actually, which is the smallest of the programs, is Naval Reactor Engineer, and that's the one that I'll be pursuing. With Naval Reactor Engineer, you work in Washington, D.C., and so I'll kind of walk through the path of how your 5 years goes. So you start by going to Officer Development School in Rhode Island, and so that's similar to Officer Candidacy School for the fleet, but this is a different type of program. It's 5 weeks instead of 12 weeks for the instructors and the engineers, and you're also combined with people from other programs, lawyers, doctors, whatnot. And so after that, I would head to, and I will be heading to DC, and you'll be in DC as a junior engineer for 6 to 9 months. And then you'll subsequently head to the Bachelor Reactor Engineering program. It's kind of the equivalent 5-6 month education for the engineers as it is for the other people in the nuclear fleet. And so there you're learning more about the engineering principles and about design and construction and things like that versus operation. And so after that, you head back to DC for the remainder of your 5 years, which ranges from 3 to 4 years, where you eventually take on more responsibility and handle projects and do project management. And it's, as the motto goes, it's a cradle to grave operation. So everything that happens there ranges from the early design of new reactors to the safe and environmentally friendly decommissioning of old ones. And so holistically, the Naval Reactors program and the nuclear fleet and the NUPOC program has had an excellent track record of training all of its officers and sailors and everyone combined and doing great engineering and having basically what is a perfect engineering record based on certain guiding principles like responsibility and taking individual responsibility. And so it's kind of one of the key tenets of the entire program, and it really helps to build whatever track you're taking, great leaders and great engineers.
Alex, so let's talk a little bit about your path. I mean, zooming out a little bit, how did the Navy get on your radar to the point that now you're really a full commit with 1 year left at Stanford? How did this get on your radar, and what was kind of the seal the deal moment, maybe even for you?
Definitely. So I've always been interested in the Navy and serving my country. And as I mentioned before, I'm highly interested in energy technology and program management. And so I found out about this opportunity at a Stanford career fair. And I thought it was great, and I was particularly interested in the Naval Reactor Engineering path. I was also interested in submarine officer, so I was kind of weighing the two. And then I learned about a summer internship opportunity that I would recommend to all who are interested. It's through the Department of Energy, the Science Undergraduate Laboratory Internship Program. And it's a 10-week internship at Naval Reactors headquarters in DC, which is where I'll be stationed. And I actually did this between the summer between my sophomore and junior year. And I had the opportunity to kind of work in a similar manner to how the Naval Reactor engineers work. And kind of being there and really enjoying the environment and beginning to fully understand the program and what it stood for, I thought that this was the best way that I could serve my country and use my engineering skills that I've developed at Stanford and really apply that.
Awesome. And so I guess thinking about your life now as a student in the NUPOC program, what is it like, your life, and then what might it look like after you graduate, just to give that contrast for the students?
Definitely. So one of the great things about the NUPOC program is that during school, during college, they want you to focus on your academics, on your extracurricular activities, developing your engineering skills and your leadership. So there's no drilling requirement. There's no additional military classes like in ROTC. Additionally, there's no grooming requirements. As you can see, I have a beard, which is not allowed once you are after you've graduated, but it does give you more flexibility during your college years, and a lot more freedom and time for yourself. So that's definitely enables you more time for yourself to grow and think, and that's one of the big benefits. So there are some commitments that you need to keep up with. Every 6 months, you're expected to pass a physical fitness test and body composition analysis. And it's not like you should just be training every 6 months for that. It's expected that you're staying in good shape. You're expected to maintain your grades and do consistently well in all your technical classes.
Is there a GPA? Is there a GPA requirement?
So it depends on the program. For instructors and NREs, it's 3.3 with a B in all technical classes. But that's minimum standards. For entrance, they like to see at least a 3.7 for those positions, although they're willing to be flexible, especially with schools like Stanford. So I know that if you have lower than that, you should still consider it and submit for academic pre-screen. And for fleet, I believe the requirement is a minimum of a 3.3 or a 3.0. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then maintenance, you need to have at least C in all technical classes and a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. But again, like I said, the entrance requirements are higher than the maintenance requirements, although they do expect you to be maintaining a consistently good academic profile. But so overall, though, it's really not too much of a commitment. You can keep doing your thing at college and keep up with all your social and extracurricular and engineering activities. So it doesn't really take a significant amount of time. Granted, after school, it is a 5-year commitment, so you have to be ready for that. And granted, you'll learn a lot in the process. So even though you're committing 5 years to them, they're committing a lot to you. So they're putting a lot into your education, their educational benefits that come after your 5 years, such as the GI Bill, so you could pay for graduate school. And we haven't discussed the financial benefits, which we'll get to in a bit. But they're committing a lot to you in return for your commitment. Definitely.
How about let's jump into that financial piece. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So just to preface that, I think it's important that people aren't solely interested in this program just for the financial benefits. It really has to be that you want to serve your country, that it's the right opportunity for you, that not only can you serve your country in an effective manner, and that it can help you grow as a person as well. But of course, there are financial benefits. And so once you join the program, and you can join up to 30 months out for fleet positions and instructor, and up to 18 months out for naval reactor engineer, and that corresponds to the middle of sophomore year for what I first listed, in the middle of junior year for the second part. And so once you join, I'll kind of I'll use this opportunity to walk through the ascension process. So there's a variety of application forms that you need to complete after getting in touch with the local recruiting office, which for Stanford is the Naval Recruiting District San Francisco, or reach out to me if you need help getting in touch with them or want to talk about it. And then once you get all those forms, you'll have a technical pre-screen. And so that's really a phone technical interview where they're making sure that you can answer technical questions at a proficiency that they think meets program levels. And so once you're meeting those levels, you're starting to get more in the clear. And once you pass your medicals, you're really in the clear because they think that you are right for the program. So they're not going to send you to Washington, D.C. to interview unless they think you're right for the program. Now, granted, it's not 100% acceptance once you get there, but they only take people there that they think are right. So there's technical interviews as well as an interview with the admiral who runs the entire program. You need to pass those. And then once you do that, then you're signed up. So once you're signed up, you're receiving monthly pay as an enlisted person, and you're paid at quite a high level. So for Stanford, you're looking at about $6,000 a month in addition to your $15,000 signing bonus up front. and a lot of the salary is tax benefited because it's a different pay structure than civilian pay. And note that it's not a scholarship per se, because it's not going to the university, it's going to you. And then granted, most people are using that to pay for school, but you do have the freedom to do other things with that money. And then so long as you maintain your grades and your physical standards, and you keep a clean record, and you're not doing drugs or anything of that nature, then you'll continue to receive all those benefits throughout college. So those are really some of the best financial benefits you'll find out there. So yeah. I mean, if you're looking over 30 months, it's great.
Do you happen to know kind of once you're graduated, I believe is it after 5 years, there's a certain kind of graduation with the salaries, or do you have any insight into that?
Oh, definitely. So once you get started, your pay shifts because you're moving locations, and military pay is dependent on locations. And you're also becoming an officer, so that's increasing your monthly pay. And then at the 2-year and 4-year mark, there are promotions. And then there's also promotions, there's like pay increases based on your years of service. So you accumulate years of service, which also contribute to retirement while you're in school, which is another one of the differences between ROTC. So for ROTC, you're not accruing years of service, whereas for NUPOC, you are. So for example, I'll enter with a bit over a year of service when I began my 5 years. And so that can eventually go to my retirement and reaching the 20-year mark. And it also means that I'll hit the pay increases proportionate to year. So like I said, there's the 2-year and 4-year mark promotions where you're going up in rank. So you go from an ensign to a lieutenant junior grade, and then from a lieutenant junior grade to a lieutenant. And now, granted, there's more promotions down the road at 10 years, 15 years, 20 years if you continue to perform well and you continue to pursue a Navy career. But that's kind of irrelevant to the short-term program commitment.
Yeah, and I don't want to take too much of your time, so in kind of last question or two here, what's your advice or kind of recommendations to Stanford engineering students that are considering the program? You're in it right now.
Definitely. So the first thing that you should do is to just check it out. Go online, look for more information, reach out to me, just kind of to get a better understanding. And then the next thing that you can do is you go on these, they call them VIP trips. And so there's a few different VIP trips depending on the program you're interested in. There's monthly trips down to San Diego for people interested in fleet. And then there's quarterly trips to Charleston, South Carolina for people interested in instructor, and Washington, D.C. for people interested in engineer. And so these trips are totally at the cost of the Navy, and there's no commitment. So it's really just a great opportunity to to learn more about the program, learn about the Navy, see if it's right for you. There's no commitment. I think that's an important part to reiterate, because people think that doing this is creating some sort of commitment. Another thing I'd recommend is the intern program at Naval Reactors. So I mentioned that earlier. It's through the Department of Energy Science Undergraduate Laboratory Internship Program. And that application is due around every December for the following summer. And that's a great way to get insight, especially if you're looking for a internship in a cool location that's relatively well paid. It's a great way to learn more. And then really at that point, once you think you're comfortable with the program, once it's more what you want to do, then you should just start the application process. And by going on the VIP trip, you'll have already filled out some of the forms, so you won't have to worry about that again. And then you prepare for your interviews and kind of just keep moving with the process like I described before. So it's really easy to learn more about with no commitment. It's a very laid back process. I have a very friendly relationship with the recruiters. They're not going to try and rope you into something that you don't want to do. It's a good process. They'll tell you the information that you need to hear. They won't make it seem like it's like different. They won't try to paint a picture different than what it really is. So I think, again, just learn more about it and go from there.
And you're one of 2 students at Stanford right now, so there's a bit of a contingent Navy-wise here on the
So
farm.
there are currently 2 rising seniors. One of my friends who's a mechanical engineer, as well as myself, and we're both headed to Naval Reactors in Washington, D.C. after graduation.
All right, so I think we covered it all, Alex. I really want to thank you for making time today. I know you're back home in Westchester and a busy summer ahead, so enjoy that summer. You just got through finals, and for students that are interested in the Navy, you got all the everything you need if you want to apply to this program. And if you have any questions, get a hold of Alex, get a hold of myself. We'll be glad to put you in touch with the right folks. So thanks again, Alex, and
Thanks, Jeff.
enjoy your summer.
You too.